Hey everybody, how's it? Aloha. Okay, brand new band. Never heard of Shinedown, and the song is called Second Chance. This is, if you've never been here, a non-theoretical breakdown of your song, you, the pure listener. Even though I am an old composer, hence the Decomposer Lounge, when I do my reaction breakdowns, it's more along bringing out nuances and really super cool things that you can hear along with me on our journey with this song, that maybe give you a little bit of like, oh wow, I had no idea that was there. Occasionally I might drift into a little theory-ish or music, people who know about music, composition, arrangement, and instruments and stuff, sprinkle a few little things on there, and if I do, I usually explain it out to you so you can still understand it, and hopefully I don't lose you through this. I want to thank you guys for your support. If you see so fit, buy me a cup of coffee. Everybody who's a subscriber knows that any advertisements that run on this is copyright claim. Therefore, this is not monetized from my channel, and so it doesn't make me any money or anything. So it's all about buying the cup of coffee. There'll be a link for that below, a link for this music and their Spotify and their merch. I like to support them as well. That'll be below. Anyhow, so let's do this. Shinedown, Second Chance. All right.
Eyes are open wide. By the way, I made it through the day. I watched the world outside. By the way, I'm leaving out today. I just saw Haley's comments your way. Said, why you always running in place? Even the man in the moon disappeared somewhere in the stratosphere. Tell my mother, tell my father, I've done the best I can to make them realize this is my life. I hope they understand. I'm not angry, I'm just saying sometimes goodbye is a second chance. Please don't.
This is a very intensely composed piece of work in its simplest form. I've been saying that lately in the last few videos that I've been doing here on the channel, because with about 85% of the songs that I've done here, it's intense compositions by incredible musicians and stuff, with a lot of the prog rock, the harder stuff, a lot of super complicated compositions and arrangements, a lot of movement, a lot of notes, a lot of heaviness happening here. And it is that simplicity sometimes that has just as much power emotionally when we're listening to music. I think sometimes for myself, being an older composer, when I drift into breaking down some of the tracks that are really intense, I get really excited, because in my mind, as a professional in this industry, it's theater of the mind, all the notes, all the intense, complicated layers and stuff. Here, this is a perfectly, thus far, we're a minute and 25 into it, this is a perfectly constructed song, and it's served up well for the core listener, because we've been programmed to be able to discern or feel what's called the hook. I call it the hook. People call it the chorus. Da, 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 da. That is the hook of the song, and I'm sure it's probably going to repeat itself another time, maybe two more times before the song is over. Now, to deconstruct a little bit of what I heard, I love the sound of that acoustic guitar and that EQ. A little more top bright, and it sounded like they used a thinner pick, so it gave you a percussive sweep when that first few chords came in. And it was also a left-right. It felt like, it seemed like, two guitars. There is some trickery that can be done, even pre-digital plugins. Nowadays there's plugins that you can just hit something, it'll double it, give you that split sound. But it sounds like that sound. And I love the strings. I think that's what I wrote down here, is that string opening. I thought, oh, is that a pad? And then what, for me, when I hear it and I go, oh, that's real, that's great, is that what we call a gliss, that which is really nice, and that's an emotional thing. So then as the song starts getting going, you know, all of a sudden we get into the first verse and stuff, and it's just a nice, clean, simple pattern. And then the arrangement starts to build as there is a turnaround before the hook. Sometimes we call that a pre-chorus. Well, it is that, but I call it a turnaround. And as the instrumentation starts to lift and stuff, when it all comes in for the hook, it's not an overwhelming blast of a particular instrument. And that's what I love about what I just heard. In other words, in a lot of the rock stuff we hear, it's real obvious when that hook or that emphasis comes in, because we listen to what? That crunch chord from the guitar, you know, and it really hits you, and because that's the power of that genre, and it's also really blown out left and right in stereo. So, you know, there's a little engineering, you know, production that goes in there. This guy's voice is incredible. I love the crispiness of his voice. I'm not a vocal coach, so I don't go in that direction, but I always treat for those of you who've been on my channel, the vocalist is an instrument before I consider it as a lyric, you know, so, and really super nice melody. Ba-da-da-da. Really nice little interval there. So, yeah, play that. Here we go.
I'm just saying, sometimes goodbye is a second chance. Please don't cry one tear for me. I'm not afraid of what I have to say. This is my one and only voice, so listen close. It's only for today. I just saw Haley's comment she said, why you always running in place? Even the man in the moon disappeared. Somewhere in the stratosphere. Tell my mother, tell my father, I've done the best I can to make them realize this is my life. I hope they understand. I'm not angry, I'm just saying, sometimes goodbye is a second chance.
I want to bring this up. Don't worry, I'll back it up into this bridge again. You know, the thing is about when you're composing for a song, it depends on what you put in it. I mean, it could be one guitar and a voice, you know, and it does, you know, however it's chosen, and doesn't require anything else but that, and that is the song. But when it gets like this and you have multiple layers, there are some things that when I hear, I go, yes, this sounds a little like I'm getting ready to feel that change, and that change is coming. One of the things that I noticed also is that in the second verse, and I'm pretty sure they did it in the first verse, is you hear a couple of guitars that are holding just real straight patterns. One is holding like a melodic, I don't want to say an arpeggio, but just a melodic plucking pattern, and the other one is doing a muting. Dun, 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 dun. Very nice, subtle things that happen in the background that in most cases, without overly demystifying this and not making this, you know, more than we should, you as a pure listener, to make it more complicated for the ears by me saying certain things like, did you hear this? Did you hear this? Did you hear this? And then all of a sudden you can't unhear it when you hear the song. These are really super cool nuances to put in there as arrangements, you know, to give you a different feeling as you're going through it. So in other words, you come out of this big hook and then you feel like you come down and they set you up again for another part of the story. Like, because lyrically, most likely that's what it is. It's a story. It's a start here, and then I'm telling you this, and here's another part of the story, I'm telling you this, and then now into this bridge section. Something else that I noticed as a string arranger, which is always fun to listen to, is to listen to whomever did the composition on the strings. At the very beginning, starts off with, you know, very nice and light, you know, arrangement and stuff at the first half of the hook, and kind of accelerates a little bit of the motion in the second half of the hook. So it's just the strings that are coming in first, and then it comes up higher. It goes up, you know, they added more notes on the higher register, and you can hear it. For those of you who don't dial into the strings, you can hear this nice kind of arcing halo, if you would, of a nice high string right there. So let's get back here into this bridge, and I'll shut up for the rest of the song. really, really, really super cool. You know what? When I hear an ending like that with strings, for me, you know what I listen for as a composer is the sound of the bow against the string. So you know, today sampling, and you know, I have string modules that I use that are pretty, really, really good, and you know, they sample. You know, for what that means is that nowadays, because of money and stuff, it's very difficult to write and hire string players for a session. It's very expensive, and but for those who know, that sound of a bow against a string, you know, is very, you can detect bad fake strings or live strings. So I'm gonna say these are live strings. I loved in the space of the bridge, which we just went through back into the hook, where it got really quiet. And did you hear the strings do that shaking? You know, sometimes we use that in movies and stuff like that to give you that scary, you know, that tremolo. I like that. That's a really super unique use of a dynamic in strings. You know, that a lot of times in pop music, we really don't hear a lot of it because there isn't a lot of space for that. You know, when my dad did the strings for Toby Keith, A Little Too Late, if you're a country fan, they had a great time because my dad was always dynamic with his compositions and his arrangements and orchestrations. And there were a couple of things that Dad did in there too that were like a breath of fresh air, not because I was a son, but a breath of fresh air in the string arrangement, because a lot of times it's pretty straight. There'll be some stuff with some glistening and stuff, but these other effects and stuff that strings can do to get into their performance. Anyhow, but this isn't a string decomposition. This was about the song, and it was a wonderful song, perfectly written, in its time, also perfectly constructed for radio play. What's my saying? In it for a minute to win it. Well, it's not my saying. I say it on the channel. But that in the day of record companies who were producing music for potential radio play, you had to be in that hook for a minute, or within a minute. You know, that's kind of a formula that was back in the day of writing. And that's why when we listen to a lot of the music we listen to here on this channel, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes long, is because generally that's gone out the window. But sometimes a record company will take a really long song of one of the, you know, artists or bands here that I've been going through, and they will cut it down to make it radio friendly. I catch a lot of slack a lot of times because I'll get songs sent to me and I listen to them going, hey, what a great song, and then a lot of people go, oh my god, that's the worst version, that's the radio edit. I don't know. I'm an old guy. The older I get, the better I was. Anyhow, thanks for hanging out. Once again, I appreciate your support, your comments. Tell me if there's any other songs from this band that you'd like me to hear. Thank you for the support with the cup of coffee. Don't forget the lyrics will be down below. The links will be down below for the music and the merch and the Spotify for the band, as well as for the cup of coffee and my other social media profiles. So I'm out of here. I will do one more tonight. All right. All right.